Zechariah 9:15 is being fulfilled right now, and I'm going to kind of like guide you through the screenshots that you're seeing here. And it's basically what's happening is this Zechariah 9:15 has a double fulfillment. My birthday's 9/15/57, and this is Zechariah 9:15, and I am literally have 50% of the genetic profile of King David, and sling stones and a shield are mentioned in Zechariah 9:15, and I have a Gail shield too. So talk about that. That is wild. Basically what's happening with Zechariah 9:15 is most of the theologians who've studied it see it as, at the beginning it talks about a prophecy about Alexander the Great, and it prophesied that he would conquer the Middle East before it happened. And then Zechariah, in the middle and end of the chapter 9, it jumps ahead to other prophecies. But what's really strange is this month, the first operational use of Israel's David sling system is happening now in July 2018. That is so freaky. Around July 12th and 13th, 2018, Loree McBride murdered about 11,500 of my Twitter followers, and I was able to use the power of my Gail shield to resurrect them, all of them, including all those that Jesuits murdered during my lifetime. My birthday's 9/15/57. You can see a summary of Zechariah 9 by some good Bible commentaries. So Zechariah 9 is a prophecy about the real Alexander the Great when he conquered the Middle East. Then it jumps forward to now when the Angelina ballerina, or she's going to be Alexander the Great as Antichrist transgender man, followers are defeated by the Gail shield. Then it also jumps forward to the at the end of the trib, when Angelina is going to be ruling over the world as Alexander the Great, and she will be defeated. And right here, the Hebrew word ganan in Zechariah 9:15 means shield. And what's really interesting, Isaiah, there was something in here about birds. Where is that, Lord? I think I'm getting this confused with another verse. But anyways, what's really strange is shield is used in 9:15 and in 12. And 12 is talking about the second coming. So what's happening now is going to be repeated on a larger scale at the second coming. So this is a double fulfillment here. The first part is being done now. So 9:15 means shield in the Old Testament. It's always connected with protecting King David or his descendants like myself. And also there is a verse that mentions birds. You got to read my birds connected with this with Zechariah 9:15. And when I resurrected my Twitter followers, they came back on Tweeter birds. So yeah, there's even a verse in there that says birds will be associated with this victory. And the Hebrew word ganan, translated shield in Zechariah 9:15, as it is defined, could very well be the Gail shield, which I have, or a David shield during the events surrounding Christ's final battle in the second coming. And that's going to happen right after the 7-year tribulation, so that's future. So this, for the New International Version seems to have the best translation of Zechariah 9:15 and Zechariah 12:8. So I did a study of all of the uses of shield and of ganan, and every time it's used, it's referring to protecting King David or one of his descendants. And I have a Gail shield, and it's protecting me, and I'm in Zechariah 9:15, and this verse is being fulfilled this month. Like I said, the New International Version seems to have the best translation of Zechariah 9:15 and 12:8. And now let's jump to another interesting passage, Isaiah 57:9. My birthday's 9/15/57. This passage is God condemning the use of using messengers to an evil king called Molech. Molech, Loree McBride, and it's God saying he's going to debase them. Debase, this is just wild. But anyways, the Hebrew word for messengers is seer, and it's associated with pains in childbirth, which is interesting because Isaiah 57:9 is about the cloning technology, like birthing clones, you know, and God's condemning this use of birthing clones using messenger RNA and nucleotide bases, which is part of, you know, the genetic programming used to create clones. God's condemning this as a satanic, idol-worshiping technology. And I have all of Isaiah chapter 15 is a condemnation of the attitude behind the creation of clones, which is one of pride and greed. These clones are in existence. Most of the clones that are following Loree McBride and Angelina Ballerina, like the Jew clones, are very greedy, and they're very proud, and they're narcissistic, and God condemns that. And he says they need to be debased. Debased, the Hebrew word for debased actually talks about like bringing a mountain down, and that's very significant because the Jesuit order is like a big mountain. It's so powerful with all the, say, UFO technology that it uses and its control over the mainstream media and the use of clones and impersonating people and spreading lies with clones, that it would take like something very powerful like my Gail shield to bring it down. Something almost supernatural, and that's exactly what's happening this month. And the word debase is only used once in the King James Bible, and that's in 57:9. So God apparently wants to let the people know that he deliberately chose that word to bring attention to the nucleotide bases which are used in cloning technology. It's part of, anybody who studied biology or biochemistry understands that in order to create anything using genetics, you have to use messenger RNA using nucleotide bases to create living things. I studied biology and chemistry in college. Anyways. Now, shaphael is an interesting Hebrew word, and that is the word for debase. Shaphael, as like I said, that's used a lot in the Bible. That's a Hebrew term, and it means like bringing down something that's a mountain and crushing it down. And every time it's used, God is condemning. He's using that method on somebody who's proud and greedy. And every time that word is used in the Bible, it's associated with God bringing down somebody with great pride and great greed and great evil, like the Antichrist. And so shaphael, that term, is associated with bringing down something very powerful, like a mountain, and bringing it down. And God makes it plain that those behind the Jesuit cloning technology are proud and need to be brought down. And Jesus did say that Loree McBride is too prideful when he commented on her one time. So that's how shaphael is used. Now, and what's really interesting about what's happening right now is I hear a lot of Jewish people, especially Orthodox Jews, and most of the Jews in Israel are coming to the Lord Jesus this month. They're going into their Hebrew Bibles and they're studying these verses as I make these videos, and the Orthodox Jews especially, who still respect the Bible, they're not like a lot of secular Jews who don't. They are just amazed at what's happening this month, and I just want to say hi, my fellow Jews. Glad you found your Messiah, Jesus, and this is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy. Actually, this is going to be fulfilled again, but on a greater scale as Christ's second coming. But you are the first fruits. What's happening now is like the first fruits of the final fulfillment of Zechariah 9:15. Notice what's really interesting about Loree McBride is, did you know Loree's a pyromaniac? She loves to set fires. And in Leviticus 18:21 it says, "Thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech." Molech is in Isaiah 57:9, where God is condemning those who are behind the cloning technology. And Loree McBride is a clone, and every time the word Molech is used in the Bible, whether it's in Isaiah 57:9, and my birthday's 9/15/57, or anywhere else, it's associated with a God that uses fire to torment people and to torment children as they offer these children up in worship. And Loree McBride, I believe, is going to be the false prophet in Revelation 13:13, the false prophet is described as calling down fire from heaven in order to glorify the Antichrist, or the beast, or 666, who I believe will be a transgender man, Angelina Ballerina, or Alexander the Great. So what's really interesting is everybody who knows anything about Loree McBride knows she's a pyromaniac. She loves to torture people with fire. In fact, in 1978, she almost burned down my mobile home. And it was by God's grace that I didn't die because of what she did. She used a lookalike of my son to set fires outside of my mobile home. And most of the wildfires that are being set right now were done by Loree McBride. She is a pyromaniac, and I just find it interesting that in Isaiah 57:9, Molech is condemned, that Jesus or God is saying that the reason these people create these clones is to worship like a fire god, Molech, and Loree McBride is like a fire god. She's going to be, I believe, the false prophet in Revelation 13:13, where the false prophet is described. He calls down fire from heaven. Loree McBride's a pyromaniac. You know, the thing is, you might say, now here are some verses on chapter 7, verse 18. I had to convince myself. I thought, you know what? If this is the month when Zechariah 9:15 is being fulfilled, I bet it's in the Bible. So I said, let's do a Bible study on all the chapter 7, verse 18s in the Bible. And wow, I couldn't believe it. It was like every single verse dealt with the themes in Zechariah 9:15. Zechariah 9:15 is a second coming verse. It's about Jesus Christ coming back to defeat the Antichrist, the prideful, greedy Antichrist, and also it's dealing with setting up his millennial kingdom and Israel coming to the Lord. And all of that is happening this month, and all of these verses are about that. I couldn't believe it. So I do believe that every instance of chapter 7, verse 18 in the Bible is it's like on the theme of Zechariah 9:15. So God arranged for every chapter 7 and verse 18 in the Bible to have the theme of Zechariah 9:15 to let us know that this is the month that the first part of Zechariah 9:15 is being fulfilled. But what is happening now is a type of the future battle of Armageddon, or final battle, prophesied in the Bible in Revelation, when Jesus Christ comes down with his army to defeat the Antichrist and his forces on earth right after the future 7-year tribulation to rescue the Jewish nation from the Antichrist and the world which will be converging upon them. And notice the similarities between what's happening now and the future final battle. And what's very interesting is the bodies of those in my celestial army are young men and women. You see, they're in their resurrection bodies. Resurrection bodies are young bodies. The bodies that we're going to have in heaven and forever. It's like a 20-something body. And also, like I said in the previous video, about 95 or more % of my Twitter followers that were murdered were under the age of 30. So there's your clones, and they're young. Anyways, so in Zechariah 9:17, the victors in this battle, this supernatural army that comes from heaven, the celestial army, which is happening now and will happen again in the future, are young people in the army. So it's happening. So some sort of shield is going to be used by Messiah when he returns to defeat the Antichrist. I think it'll be a David shield. And it does say in the verses related to my shield that the King David, in Zechariah 12, the King David followers who will be there at Christ's second coming, who will, when the nation of Israel turns to the Messiah and recognizes Jesus as their Messiah, then God, immediately a shield is going to appear over the earth, and it will protect them from the Antichrist and his forces. Jesus Christ is going to come down from heaven, destroy all of Israel's enemy. All of Israel is going to get saved in one day. And the people in King David are going to be like God. They're going to have singularity. And that's what I wanted to say before, the other video got really messed up. But this is amazing what's happening. I hear the Jewish people are coming to Jesus. It's like Zechariah 9:15 is being fulfilled now. It'll be fulfilled even greater later on.